Hi, Sonia Barrett here once again, and I decided to do another little video. Um, I think in the last video I did, I spoke about the upcoming retreat in Ojai, this 3-day retreat called Reimagine, and that's in August 8th through 10th. Um, we had, of course, the 2-day workshop at my home in January. And it was really, for me anyway, it was really an enjoyable experience. And I don't think I could have imagined it any better, for lack of a better word, just any more profound than it was, and the people that I had an opportunity to meet in person, and just the whole energy was just awesome. Really beautiful, aware, very aware beings that really stood in their own power, which is really what it takes. But I really kind of wanted to do this video to speak a little bit about the upcoming retreat, and just sort of tie it into a couple of things here. I have done some interviews with some really amazing people, and I did an interview recently with Dr. Michael Cotton, and he deals with higher brain living. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that interview, I would encourage you to do so. And the things that he's talking about, we really hit it off in the interview, and we were even speaking after the interview. And the things that he's speaking of in terms of the brain, and in terms of the fact that we've lived from the more primitive area of the brain, as opposed to the newer part of the brain, and the fact that the brain uh, does want to evolve. There is an evolution, a natural evolution that wants to take place, but we are so heavily immersed in operating from that fight or flight space, that survival space. Anyway, the things that he said really lined up with where my understanding has always been, and where it continues to go to really escalate, and that is this magnificent transformation that I know can occur in all of us, where we are doing amazing things, things that we're now seeing in, television shows, abilities that they're showing. I see that as a natural part of human evolution, and science is obviously also saying the same thing. And the next person I interviewed, and that interview hasn't gone up yet, is a gentleman named Avery Morrow. And in his book, he's done a lot of historical research on Japan. But what was really fascinating was the what he had discovered about, certain groups of people that had lived on the planet according to Japan's history, or the history that he's researched. And they were also able to do these amazing things because they had evolved, in emotionally evolved, spiritually evolved, where they were living hundreds and thousands of years. Um, those are concepts that are still so foreign to so many people because of the programming. I have always known this since the day that I can remember, or a conscious moment anyway, of realizing that I was on planet Earth, that there was more that was possible beyond the life that everybody seemed to be living. Anyway, my point is this. What that reminded me of, and Dr. Cotton and I actually really spoke about this afterwards, but what he is speaking about with this higher brain living and the tools that he's sort of discovered, again, for lack of a better word, to really help to escalate that higher brain process in an individual. And that's also, there's breath involved, but it really is a very unique process. What I realized was that was what I was doing back in, I'm going to say 1992, because that was such a profound period for me. When I diligently tried to figure out how to meditate, and eventually wandered upon this beautiful experience that took me far and beyond anything that I could have imagined, and also sharpened my ability to understand so many components, scientific pieces, so many concepts, so many things that science just has discovered, now is discovering, and will discover. It just opened me up in a way that I cannot describe. There are no words to describe it, but obviously you see the kind of things that I write and the kind of videos that go up, so you know exactly where my mind is. My mind is limitless. It's very expansive. I just don't have any limits on what possibilities exist. Well, when we were speaking, what I did realize is that would have been categorized as a higher brain expansion. That's basically what happened, was this higher brain expansion, operating from or using more of my brain, or operating from a more expanded level. And I didn't know how to put it into words before, really. It was just, I just knew that this happened, and I was becoming more and more different over that particular 10-year period. And of course, that's been over 20 years now. But what I decided was that when I do this work, this 3-day retreat, that I really, I think, want to dig into that a bit more, and really just get everybody to um, participate in that experience that I had. We had done something like this in, I think, 2009, when I did a workshop. I didn't really put an extreme amount of emphasis on it, because that's where I was in 2009. I wasn't sure. I think I still may have been a tad bit uncertain as to how much of certain things then I, should really put out there, or to say. I'm thinking maybe that's why I didn't focus on it, and maybe it could be simply that it wasn't that time for me to do that. And you do see pieces of that on YouTube, where I was sitting in the lotus position, and my hands started to move, and so on. But I really would like to do that in this upcoming 3-day retreat, is to really bring that element in, because I'm realizing, I think that's the missing piece. When I hear people either call me and tell me this, um, or send me an email where they're saying that they feel as if there's something missing, or they're trying to still break through some sort of ceiling, like there's a ceiling here, but they're really wanting to break through this thing. I realize that's what it is, because there is this breakthrough moment, and there are different levels of this breakthrough moment, because I've spoken to a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people speaking as well. And the one thing I can tell you, this is how you know, because there's a lot of people out there speaking, giving lectures, um, just doing their thing. But when anybody puts a limitation on anything, when anybody restricts, when anybody says this is the only way that you can do this, that is going to always be your first clue. that is going to be your first clue as to exactly how expansive is this person. When everything that is being talked about is just really in this tiny box of focus. And I don't like tiny box. I, again, I don't want any boundaries per se. When I say boundaries, I mean those things that are going to create limitation within me, that's going to tell me that something isn't possible. Those people, that's not for me. I want to feel fluid, always free flowing, and that's what I'm always going to deliver. I deliver everything according to how I am processing it for myself. So again, that is always your first clue when there are restrictions, when there are limitations in terms of your own growth, your own expansion, what you're told, or if there's dependency, complete dependency on an individual who says, you need me to make this happen or take you to this next level or to activate this. That's your first clue, because this is about a freedom that you really can't, almost hard to even try to describe. But there is definitely a certain level of freedom there that allows you to just sort of be. And I am not saying that it does, there aren't challenges. But what we are aiming to do, we have to remember that, is we are aiming to make these incredible leaps in the midst of the fire. We live in a system that really pushes us. Really, when I say pushes us, I almost mean retards us. Because that system does restrict you. There's a lot of restrictions. I mean, obviously, you have a choice as to whether you are taken in by those restrictions or not. But because everything is about survival, we find that we are constantly either feeling tired. We don't feel that we have enough time to be able to devote to certain things like this kind of awareness. And I understand, having worked a regular 9 to 5, um, and I understand and still find time for this. But I was driven. I was just driven, and I still am very driven. So it just depends on what's driving you. I just know that the more I know is the freer I'm going to be, whatever freedom means for me. But it's not feeling like I'm constantly having to run from something, run and survive on different levels of survival, whether we're talking about money or love. Those are usually the two big things that people deal with. And I'm just wanting to really move into that kind of freedom where you can just be as large as possible, where you can see more of what you are. Well, this is what I see. And I'm thinking, I was so excited about the workshop happening in January. It was something that came to me just like that, and to see people show up and it unfold the way it did, it was very exciting. And I feel the same way about this August retreat. I am really excited because I am feeling, maybe not necessarily pinpointing, everything, put my hands on everything that we're going to be doing, but I'm definitely feeling that there is going to be some amazing experiences, that are going to be that we're going to have, and components that are going to be added. But this in particular was one, is that we're going to work on that. We're going to do that kind of engaging. And in a couple of the other workshops that I used to do, the teleconferences, we did something called just body scanning, just learning how to scan your own body. It's like going inside your body. in a different kind of awareness. Well, it's all sort of like that in the sense of um, this this engaging process that I'm talking about. It's like a combination of that. It's like being aware, but at the same time, you kind of step away from being your body so much as we normally are. You kind of step away from that, and there is this very large feeling that comes over you, and it's, you know, right back here, which we'll talk about. It's coming back here. As they say, we puppet, or we come in from the back here. It's almost like you're coming in and puppeting this vehicle, this sensory based mechanism, this sensory based vehicle. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more, because that's also extremely important to understand, that we are in these vehicles, these vessels that are sensory based, which we understand that part of it, and because of that, that's how emotions are processed, so that we can have the experience. Now, who's having the experience? You know. Anyway, I could go on and on, but I just wanted to express that part of it, and I am truly looking forward to it unfolding. And there's several months to go. Oh, and I'm looking into, actually, yeah, we should be going hiking into the hot springs there. So that's another aspect to of this trip. Anyway, and I love when it all just kind of unfolds naturally and everything isn't an overdose of planning. So I'm just letting it all show up as I go along. So thank you. Go to spiritinformed.com. And if you have any questions, just email me. Go to spiritinformed.com, click contact, and you will see my email. And I do respond to emails. Have a wonderful rest of the day journey.